Talking to me? Are you talking to me?
Theoretically, yeah. Matthew Lawrence, what's going on with you, man? What's the news?
Not much. I'm
How's
about
you
to head
feeling?
out to hang out with some friends, but yeah, it's been a good semester so far.
All right.
Happy Ides of February, 15th of February.
Has that got something to do with Julius Caesar now?
Ides of March does.
All right. Eyes of February is something different.
It's just the 15th of any month is the Ides.
Oh, okay. I knew that. Probably not really. Yeah. Now I do.
Oh, here's something
Thank you,
interesting. I
Matthew.
saw a SpaceX launch last night. That was cool.
Did it arc?
No, because we're watching it from the side. It just went from right to left, higher and higher and higher until it disappeared. It would arc if you're like standing at the launch site. Just kind of like if a plane took off, you're standing at the airport, it would go up, but then kind of arc down as it went away.
Why do they have to do that?
Why do planes have to do that? It's just a effective perspective. The plane is actually staying level or going higher. It just looks like it's going down because it's going farther away.
He's from
I was
Kansas,
talking about
Matthew.
I was talking about a rocket. The rockets
So,
that go up
yeah,
and they
same thing.
arc.
Yeah, same as a plane. They're going higher and higher, but it looks like they're arcing if you're at the launch site. But we're 100 miles away in Southern California, LA County. So it doesn't look like it's arcing down at any point from there. Because we're seeing. Why do planes have to do that? It's just a effective perspective. The plane is actually staying level or going higher. It just looks like it's going down because it's going farther away. The plane is actually staying level or going higher. It just looks like it's going down because it's going farther away. Same as a plane. They're going higher and higher, but it looks like they're arcing if you're at the launch site. But we're 100 miles away in Southern California, LA County. So it doesn't look like it's arcing down at any point from there. Because we're seeing.
Yeah, how fast do they need to be going to leave Earth's atmosphere?
There's no speed that it has to be going.
I thought there was. They had the, what do they call it?
Escape velocity is if it's leaving
Escape
Earth's
velocity.
gravity well.
Yeah.
Yeah, these aren't getting that fast.
When they say that they're going 7 times the speed of a bullet, they're not going that fast.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Right.
So they're
I
just
mean,
doing
and
it
you
for
can tell.
funsies? They're just doing it to see how fast they can go, or they're just their purpose for that speed?
Well, they have to get a certain speed to go into orbit.
Right. That would be the terminal. Like, so what's that speed? What's that? Do you know
It's
what that
about
is?
17,000 miles an hour, but it depends on how high they are.
Is that
Escape
Mach
velocity
33?
is something different.
Oh, escape velocity is Mach 33.
Yeah, these aren't getting up to escape velocity.
Nah. Just little slow pokes. Cruising at 17K.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah. For a piece of
If you look
trash.
to your left, oh, nope, there it goes.
It's not even got
Wait,
thrusters.
Are you implying that it's not going 17,000 miles an hour?
It was falling. I mean, it's basically ain't doing shit. I mean, put a Hemi on that thing, right, Matthew?
Yeah, I'll say that it's not going that fast for sure.
Oh, it definitely
Yeah.
is because we've watched it. I can see it with my own eyes. It's way up north above Santa Barbara, and then less than 2 minutes later, it's way south, like
But you
beyond
saw
San
it.
Diego.
You saw it
Yeah.
leaving the Earth.
It's just contrary motion.
No.
It's really not doing anything.
Okay, so you didn't see it leave the Earth.
Okay, here's what I saw. I saw something that was northwest of me, up by Santa Barbara, and then within 2 minutes, it's southwest of me, down by San Diego. So, it's definitely moving very fast.
Yeah, just like
So
a lot of
you
magic tricks,
see
they happen
You
real
see it
fast.
move. Oh, I'm sorry, Snack. Go ahead, bud. My bad.
No, I live to get cut off by you. Go ahead.
Very true. So what speed is it going, do you think, before it hits that 17,000? Like, what are you seeing? You're obviously not seeing it go 17,000 miles an hour, right? So you're seeing it at some speed. What speed are you seeing it at?
Well, I don't know, probably 5 to 10,000 miles an hour, something like that. but way faster than any plane has ever gone.
Have you ever noticed any type of rocket that goes faster the longer it's in the air than?
Well, yeah, when it first takes off, it's not going very fast. It's mainly going up, and then it starts going to the left faster and faster. So, yeah, it's definitely speeding up.
You think that's okay? See, now I think that's weird that you believe that. Like that
No,
should
I
that
saw it
tells
with my
me
own eyes. Last night, I saw it with my own eyes. We were watching it from the
no.
backyard. There were 10 of us.
But then we just
on
went over
TV.
that you didn't see it go 17,000 miles, or you didn't see it leave the Earth's atmosphere. So you saw something, but you didn't see it do those things.
Well, it was definitely not in
Which
the
is the
atmosphere because
most
anything
important
moving
thing
that fast would burn
that
up.
you want to see in order to believe what's coming next. Which is this is what you see. Check this out. We're here.
Wait,
In your
I'm just
dome
telling
of
you what was
vision,
happening in the sky.
in your dome of vision, that's what you saw. So I
Right.
agree
It
with
was
that.
it was north of Santa Barbara, and 2 minutes later, it was south of San Diego. So, I didn't do the calculations to see how many miles an hour that is, but no plane travels that fast. I'll tell you that. And it's not just me. Thousands and thousands of people saw it happen last night.
Dude, I'm not saying that you didn't see anything. I'm just saying, like, to claim that you know what went down after a certain point that you don't see or witness is weird to me. Because then you're saying you don't see it go 17,000, but then you just believe that it does. Like, that's weird to
Right.
me.
They say okay. So they say that it starts in Lompoc up by Vandenberg Space Force Base, and then they say it goes down to Baja. And then when I go outside and watch, the part that I can see, it matches what they say. So I would assume that the rest of what they say would probably be true too. If they were saying that it's going a certain speed, it looks like it's going that speed during the portion that I can see. So I can verify what I saw. It's just a little bit weird that you're like making up excuses for why you think it wasn't doing what it was doing when thousands and thousands of people see this happen regularly.
Thousands and thousands of people see something happen, but they don't see a
Right.
thing going 17,000 miles per hour.
They
Nobody
see a
sees that.
thing that, yes, they see a thing. We saw a thing that was north of Santa Barbara, and then 2 minutes later it was south of San Diego. That's what we saw. Now, if you're
Yeah,
going to
now
say
it's
that
gone.
that's slow, then you're just wrong.
But you didn't see it go 17,000. You just said that earlier. You can't have seen it going 17,000 miles per hour because you didn't see it even leave Earth's atmosphere. So the thing in the sky could have very well just kept going. What was the attack angle that you saw it at? Were you seeing it going straight up and down perpendicular, or did you see the rocket kind of going along with the curvature of the Earth?
Whoa,
It started
attack
when it was
angle.
maybe 20 degrees off of vertical, and then it kept going
Not an
sideways. So
attack
it was
angle.
almost like horizontal by the time we saw it near the end.
That's it. That's not right. I said attacking.
That's
I
good.
don't.
No, it was good. You're impressing me.
Wait, he's impressing you?
I
You
meant
should, you know how far he's come.
attack angle would be coming in from space into the Earth. That's the attack angle, right? So it would be
Well,
to
it's also,
anti that,
it's an
right? You have to
aeronautical
be at a
term too.
certain.
Planes have attack angles.
You have to be at a certain speed. You have to be at a certain angle. Otherwise, you skip off the atmosphere out into space. Like that's their deal. You got to come in at this angle. And if
All
you
right, rein it in, rein it in.
So people who are from the South do have a different accent, but you seem to be implying that because they have a different accent, they're stupid, and you're trying to make fun of that idea by having a
no, I
false
was making fun of
Southern accent.
the guy from Apollo 13, the movie Apollo 13. You ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the guy I was making fun of.
You're doing an
Yeah.
impression.
I wouldn't make fun of
Okay,
anybody that
I
had
got to
funny
get going
accent.
because I'm gonna hang out. With some
Sorry for
friends
wasting
for
your time, Matthew.
No,
Have a great.
no, it's
No,
always
just
fun to
kidding.
chat with you guys.
All right, enjoy the odds.
All right, you too.
Yeah, I'm just joking, Jared. I found it.
You,
That
I
was
know you,
hilarious.
but
I enjoyed the
knew
whole thing.
exactly what I meant. You knew
It was
exactly
great.
what I meant.
No,
Yeah.
I know it.
This is weird though, right? Like, okay, you saw a rocket go up into the sky. Like, okay, I'm gonna just give up all my senses to whoever shot that rocket up, and then just hopefully they're telling me the truth. I don't know, man.
Yeah, they're definitely putting shit in the sky. I mean,
I mean, what are you talking
so,
about? Thousands of people saw it. That's not what's in contention. There's nobody
yeah,
that's saying that they can't shoot shit in the sky. Like that's kind of it's a magic trick, right? Like
I don't know what they saw,
yeah, I don't know either.
but like weather balloons communications run on the same kind of balloons and stuff. it's particularly about like where you place them though. That's got a lot to do with things. I think they're good at placing them, and maybe they use like they say, they're using some kind of rockets, and then they deliver balloons up there, and they kind of hang out there. But they're not space, like outer space or whatever.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be worried about a spinning atmosphere. Like balloons just make sense to us. Motionless planet. Just doesn't. It doesn't work with a spinning Earth. You have to figure out that, and nobody ever does. And it's because you don't need to, because it's just the same thing. But it's like you still have to believe this way. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. I'm done.
There's the whole war I've been following with the Ukraine-Russia war. So Starlink was being used by Russians who bought like Starlink units in like Abu Dhabi or some shit or whatever, and it shipped over there. And then they were like running it. They were putting it on donkeys and whatever. And but they were also running like drones and using them to like navigate with. And then Starlink didn't like that, so they shut them down. And then they basically shut off all service.
Didn't
there's
the
like a
Iranians
complete,
hack it?
yeah,
Or something?
no,
Didn't the Iranians hack it?
wait before you cut me off. Like they just put up like they have like one messenger app for all of Russia. Like they don't have service from most places because everything was like they've lost pretty much internet service. I mean, I figure if they had a space program, they'd be running satellites. Russia runs no comm satellites, right? They just depend on it. So like really the US is the only, like we're the only people that really know, I guess, what the fuck, how to do the tech of it, or that in the Euro countries, obviously.
Yeah,
So
you don't see like India. India went to the moon allegedly, but I don't think they have satellites. I mean, I can't.
they can rent.
That's a good point. We have space like totally on lockdown. It seems.
Yeah, like the Russians were claiming on their I guess it's like a surrogate of the Kremlin, a guy that like gets mad for he's like the anger handler for Putin. So he'll just like say some crazy shit, but he's not really accountable. But they talk about anyway. But he's like, yeah, we should nuke space. They're like, yeah, we'll use nukes. Yeah, we'll take out Starlink. We don't. They can't do that either. But it seems like they don't really have it. Like, how could they not have gone to nukes yet? It doesn't even make sense. If they had them, they would have used them by now. It's the whole world is so confusing.
I wish I could go back in time and find the episodes on here with the Globers like defending like the Chinese balloon satellite.
Where did it crash? Where did it crash at?
Yeah, that's probably what, like, because if you figure like it's in global paradigm that it's a Lagrange point that they're trying to stick a satellite in, so it's got like geostationary like availability for signal like reliance. I said lots of words there, but you know what I'm saying, right? That's the general play that you'd have to make with satellite stuff. They're like, no, they're using everything with orbital Dopplers, and then they're able to just geocalc it. Okay, whatever. If that's the case, I don't know. It was under my impression that a lot of it was based on this reliability of a Lagrange point to accurately like give you some. Okay, whatever. Maybe I don't know anything, but all right, nobody replies. But
when I think of Lagrange point, I'm thinking of the place where so Lagrange point meaning, and you're talking about their paradigm,
just trying to
right?
establish like an analog between the globularity, I guess, concept, and then I guess if you were like, oh, it's just weather balloons, that there's like some kind of very still altitude, of, a band of, a place that you want to just keep that balloon there, and it'll pretty much like won't get caught up in some kind of other air current, maybe, so it's like a sort of a geostable position, but not geostationary. So they drift out. But maybe the Chinese tried that shit and it didn't work, and it got caught, like their balloons got caught up in some air currents, or we microwaved the air currents and sucked out their satellites. Who knows? I don't know, man. Just some craziness.
I think that's what the ISS is. I think it's something that they tried to launch up, right, and it got caught up in that, whatever zone it's in, because people see it all. Like, I guess you can watch it go across certain places at certain times. So there's something up there. Like how it's moving is like bonkers to me. Like I agree though. I think there is some place like that you can like be stationary without any type of propulsion or whatever. I think that's what the ISS is. The one that everybody says they see, though.
Well,
Not
but they're saying
they
that
realize it.
they're saying that moves real fast though. Like everybody's like, yeah, it's so fast and it's consistent all the time. What are they saying? Indeed, no. Every time I see a decent thrift shop telescope, I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna use it, man. I'm gonna turn myself into Sir Isaac Newton or some shit. I'm wearing high knickerbockers or what have you. I don't think so. Put on a
You
wig.
could make a.
Fucking.
You could be that 777.
Catch the lunar wave, bro. I reckon that's like.
I would hang
like
10 on that thing. You know what I'm saying?
You would hang 10 on it?
I would hang 10 on the lunar wave.
Hang 10 on the
That would be
wave, man.
that would be pretty cool though if somebody like put like a surfer guy on when the lunar wave gets captured. That would be hilarious.
I wonder if you can motion track it. Surfers. Wonder what it is we're seeing. See that? Well, this is philosophical, you know. Like I'm sure it's kind of difficult when you're just dealing with basically. If you're looking at a star, I mean, it's basically like you're looking at like a 2D kind of environment, and you're trying to imagine what is really happening.
I mean, I kind of disagree. You can actually measure the velocity, and you can measure how fast it moves and the acceleration.
Well,
and I mean, if you're going to use the framework of known physics, it pretty much breaks the laws of physics because nothing can accelerate unless there's a force acting upon it. So, like, to me, it becomes kind of like a binary choice. Either they follow the known laws of physics or they don't.
I mean,
if they follow the known laws of
do you know of any terrestrial lights that are unending?
Terrestrial lights that are unending?
Yeah. Do you know of any like stars don't go out? Basically, they're on all the time. The sun. I mean, like those sort of violate laws of physics that we would have here. Like that's like infinite power or energy.
Are you saying that stars that go out violate the laws of physics?
I'm just saying like things that are up in the sky kind of violate what we would call laws of physics here, or laws of physics. Why would you assume that everything is operating in the same physics?
No. I'm assuming that there's either two choices. Either they do operate under the laws, under all the known laws of physics, or they don't. If they do, then according to the laws of physics, something cannot stop, decelerate, and accelerate unless there's a force acting upon it. That's the known laws of physics. That's F equals ma.
Well,
you can't accelerate something unless there's a force acting upon it that pushes it to accelerate.
There's probably somebody that's going to be willing to have a conversation about this.
I'll mention that epicycles are only needed in a geocentric globe kind of concept. So that's a geocentric globe that requires that, not necessarily a planar Earth with the sky above. Epicycles are if you have balls and you make the balls all out in space, and you have the Earth as a globe ball in the middle of a bunch of other balls that are out there, and then you try to think that the lights in the sky are actually balls out there. If you make them balls out there, then you would need some way to explain retrograde motion, and heliocentrism actually does it. Doesn't mean it's correct, but it actually does resolve the retrograde issue because of when you make the sun in the center. But the geocentric globe has a problem with the retrograde because it requires something like epicycles, like another circuit occurring around that ball or involved with that ball to make it retrograde. But like I said, it's only needed with a geocentric globe idea. So it's not needed necessarily with a planar stationary Earth with the lights above.
I mean, it does in the sense that they decelerate, they stay still, and then they reaccelerate. I mean,
but that
you would
doesn't
still
mean that
have
they're
to.
balls. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're balls. If you have the Earth as a
No,
ball and say those lights
I
are
get you.
balls, then you require that. But if they're not balls, then you don't require that. You don't have to have that physics. Because what's actually occurring, like in reality, like no matter what the Earth is, you see Mercury, and it'll be moving slower than the fixed stars. So the fixed stars are going faster. Like imagine two cars on the road. The fixed stars are one car. Mercury is another car. The fixed stars are going faster.
In relation to each other. Yeah.
Mercury is going slower. Literally every day, that's how it's occurring. And then when Mercury goes retrograde, it actually picks up speed. It makes an actual faster speed.
Yeah, it
as it's
accelerates.
traveling, and it goes faster than the fixed stars. So like two cars on the road, Mercury starts picking up speed and goes a little faster than the fixed star, and while it's in retrograde, it's going faster. And then it ends up slowing down and going back to its pace a little slower than the fixed stars. So that's what's actually occurring. And if you have some kind of electromagnetic system above a planar Earth, and those lights can just move at different speeds, that you don't need like any physics about physical balls to change the speed. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you do, because in order for something to electromagnetic move something, there needs to be an increase either in the magnetism or the electricity. Because in order to create an acceleration per Coulomb's law, you need a change either in the charge or a change in the magnetism.
Yeah, but what is this? What is the speed of like the neurons in your brain? You know, they move at different rates and things. So you could, if the sky is more like neurons in your brain, they can move at different rates without any need to move a huge ball. Like
yeah, but neurons operate on energy. Neurons operate on mitochondrion successfully doing a chemical reaction that gives it enough energy to move. Planets don't have that. I mean, planets.
How do you know that? How do you know what planets have?
I mean, you state electromagnetism. I say okay.
I mentioned it.
And yeah, you mentioned it, and I'm playing with the idea. I'm not saying that you have the truth, but I'm playing with the idea because if electromagnetism make these things move, then according to the laws of physics, according to Coulomb's law, there needs to be either a change in magnetism or there needs to be a change in electrical charge, because acceleration requires a change, an increase either in magnetism or in charge. And for that to happen, then these things have to all of a sudden shift to an enormous amount of electrical charge for them to change that. And not only that, that charge needs to first stop existing because the planet stops, and then it needs to go in the negative because then the planet moves in the other direction, and then that electric charge needs to stop.
No, it doesn't
because
stop.
The planet stops.
No, it never stops.
And then that electric charge needs to go.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Just talking through me. Okay, go ahead. You wanted to keep monologuing?
No, but I'm trying to explain to you that there needs to be a positive and then a zero and then a negative and then a zero and then a positive for it to correspond to that movement.
Okay, and I began responding, telling you that they never stop. Mercury is always moving above the Earth. It's always in motion. It never stops. What they do is they go the same speed. What you're thinking of stopping. So if you have two cars, the fixed stars on the highway and Mercury on the highway, Mercury's going slower. It then picks up speed and it goes the same speed as the fixed stars when it's called stationing. And then it goes faster than the fixed stars. And then it goes back to the same speed when it stations for a few days. And then it goes back into slower than the fixed stars, which is direct motion. So it doesn't have to stop. All they would have to do is change speed. All Mercury would have to do is go from slightly slower to slightly faster, back to slightly slower. So that's all it has to do. It never stops. So the thing is, I was bringing this up originally just to mention that epicycles are only needed in a geocentric globe. Retrograde cycles, like in my viewpoint, to have a stationary planar Earth and have all the luminaries above that Earth, what they're actually doing is changing their speed. And so all that's needed is some feature of the sky to very slightly change the speed of those objects. So whatever that is, whether it's electromagnetism or whatever that is, there's many, many ways that could be occurring. If it's in a fluid, the fluid could change speed. There's a bunch of different models or ideas of how that could be happening. But it doesn't require the type of physics of like balls that are orbiting around balls. That's what I was saying.
I mean, it requires physics if it has a mass. If it's not, I'm presuming. I'm not saying that I have the answers or that I'm presuming that you have the answers. I'm basically toying or speculating honestly with the idea that if they do follow the laws of this physics and if there is some electromagnetic mechanism that makes them move, then there needs to be a change either in the electric charge or in the magnetism. Because according to the laws of physics, if you're going to have a force that changes, EA an acceleration or deceleration, then the charge needs to change as well. Where does that charge come from? Where does that change of charge come from?
Are you just brainstorming, or you're asking me a question? I didn't say, but none of us have touched or been to the sky, so you just want to speculate about what it could be. I'm just saying what's actually occurring is the change of speed of the objects of what we actually observe, the way they change speed. So I'm mentioning what they actually do. If you want to get into speculations about what the sky is, I guess we could do that. But that would just be speculation. I mean, where does anything come from? Everything's in motion, Earth, nature, the sun. So, I mean, you could get into what's the ultimate cause of everything to exist. I mean, like I said, the neurons in your brain are moving in certain ways. I mean, certainly electromagnetics seems to be connected to everything. So certainly that would be very likely to be involved. But I mean, we could speculate.
But the mechanism of
the bottom line is that they change speeds. And all I'm referring to is that if they're not balls, like physical balls out in space, then you don't have the epicycle issue and you don't have the retrograde issue that epicycles had. That was originally why I jumped in.
Okay, so I mean, the heliocentric model offers another explanation of it that coincides with the known laws of physics. And they can actually measure it, and it coincides with the velocities and everything, and the mass of the planets as well. They don't even need to speculate. I think that is the core issue about this theory that you're speculating on. I'm punching holes in the theory, and there should be answers to it, but there's none. Meanwhile, there's the other theory of gravity that explains it perfectly fine. So it's like you are applying a standard to a theory that has a lot of uncertainties compared to another theory that has a perfect reasonable explanation of why things move the way they move. But I know that most of the people here do not believe in it. So yeah, I think that is a considerable issue.
Okay, yeah, I'm not really sure how to engage. I don't know if that was a question or you're just kind of thinking things through, or I'm not sure what that question was. I never said I was speculating about the lights changing speed because that's something we can objectively observe. That's not a speculation. I didn't say I was speculating.
No, I agree. I agree.
The shape of the Earth either. The only thing I said speculation is if you're going to try to talk about what the sky is or exactly like what it's made of or what the exact electric charges are or the material, that is the only thing I said would be in the realm of speculation. In terms of the heliocentric model, I don't think it's true. So it's sort of useless. It's a fun idea. If you want to believe it, you can, but it'll just haunt your soul until you figure out it's false. Is how I see that, because that's what lies do, essentially, and it will continue nagging at you, and you'll continue being interested in figuring out why you're uncomfortable about it. So I mean, that's like your own journey to figure out that heliocentrism is not what this realm is. But if you think it is, and you think those theories of gravity match, that's fine. There's all kinds of things that can be fabricated in terms of how things are working. I don't think the physics of balls orbiting balls is necessarily valid either. It's based upon a whole bunch of assumptions and extrapolations that are not valid. But it is using a few of the numbers and ratios that we do use for how things actually fall on Earth, and that's the only reason it works. Obviously, it doesn't work when you go to the dark matter issues, when you go to the larger scale as well. It doesn't work, but it can work for some basic calculations of the luminaries, which is how they've been able to kind of concoct that model. So if you're wanting to get to truth, I don't think that's going to get you there. But I mean, that's up to you if you think that's what it is in terms of the balls orbiting balls. Like I said, I think the heliocentric concept fairly decently covers retrograde because of the geometry. But the question is that true or not? So that's what you'd have to figure out for yourself, I suppose.
Yeah. No. I mean, you're right. I mean, I'm not saying that you are speculating in the sense that they move in the way that you describe them. But I think that the theory of electromagnetism requires speculation because there is no explanation for the mechanism of what makes them decelerate and accelerate. I mean, not according to the known laws of physics, anyway.
Okay, but I would say this from my viewpoint, I can't get to the sky. Like if I'm like not in my body, that's a whole nother topic, but that would go to metaphysics. So if you're like a human in your body, I cannot go to the sky. I know government agents have claimed to go to the sky and fly around and do things, but I cannot go, and I don't unless you're one of those government agents. You haven't either, right? So neither of us can go to the sky. So we're two humans on Earth, and there's this huge sky above us, and we can't go there to touch it or do anything. We could believe other men that claim they did it, or believe government agents, but if we're not going to do that, then we're just left with, like I said, on the ground and looking at the wonders of the sky to wonder what it may be. So if that's the level that we're at, that we can't go up and do anything with it, then all we can do is view it and so on. I don't have any issue though in like when you bring in like plasma, superfluids, and electrostatics and electromagnetics and light and the interference of light and so on. I don't have any conflicts in my awareness that the sky could be functioning through any of those four I just mentioned: plasma, superfluid, electromagnetic, electrostatics, and light, and how those, and vibration, and how those all could be working together for the sky to manifest the way that it does. So I don't, in terms of retrograde motion, I don't have any like concerns that those lights can change their rate of speed. Just like bubbles in a fluid, things can change very slightly. Just like a lot of stars, even in parallax, they seem to very slightly change position as well. So, and there's a lot of other wandering stars basically that don't go with the fixed stars that we don't even hear about. Like some of them are called asteroids, but there's like many, many other ones. So the retrograde motion are not the only ones that change speed, is what I'm saying. Even some of the fixed stars do as well. So I'm just saying, in my mind, I don't have any conflict about those lights being able to have a force, let's say, if you want to call it that, that's causing them to slightly change their speed.
I mean, if that's the viewpoint you want to make, I mean, I can't really argue. I just think that, I mean, I'm convinced, and I mean, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm just more convinced that we should just apply the known laws of physics to these movements. And according to those, if we're going to play with the idea of electromagnetism, those numbers just don't add up. But that's
Okay,
my
so what
conviction.
known laws make balls orbit other balls? Can you show this in any way, or is it just a theoretical concept? Because there's no real physics that a ball orbits another ball anywhere. So that's not real physics. That's a concept added to something. There's no balls that orbit other balls in actual physics, in actual reality. You know,
I mean,
so it's not real physics.
I know. Yeah, no, but if you're going to apply real physics to balls orbiting other balls and using electromagnetism, those balls need to have a charge.
No, but yeah, but electromagnetism
Otherwise,
was never mentioned about balls having to orbit other balls. We were talking about lights and electromagnetics having to do with the sky, but I never said there were balls up there with electromagnetic anythings.
I mean, celestial bodies, anything that is required to move something else, there needs to be a different, a voltage potential between those two bodies. Otherwise, they wouldn't move. That's how electricity works.
Okay, but well, first of all, you're talking about the heliocentric with like the concepts of gravity, and you were trying to say that you think that because things drop, like you drop a rock on Earth, that somehow means the physics are valid for balls orbiting other balls, like out in a heliocentric world. And I was refuting that to a degree, mentioning that there is no real physics that you can get balls to orbit other balls. There's only extrapolations based on the drop rate, then assuming Earth's a sphere, then assuming that spheres pull things to the middle of them, then assuming that balls can all be out in a huge space that have that pulling feature to the center, which then makes them orbit and so on. So that's what I was saying. In terms of the electrostatics, I never mentioned that they were balls above a planar Earth that would need any physics to change them. It sounds like you were jumping to that at the end there.
No. I don't know. I said they don't need to be balls, but they need to be bodies. They need to be something physical with an electrical charge. It doesn't matter if they're balls or square or whatever. If they
not
are
necessarily. They could be holographic light, luminous holographic light objects celestially that are moving in an electrostatic field, and that electrostatic field is what actually is very slightly changing its rate, and then that holographic light luminous object is then moving along with the electrostatics, and it could all not necessarily be physical the way we think of like hard matter.
Yeah, but we have used radar to shoot like we have shot like radar and radio at them, and they bounce. They return back to us. They're physical known objects, same as the moon. And if they're all holographic projections, then that projection needs to come from somewhere.
Reflect those. Yeah, plasma can reflect those. It doesn't have to be physical.
Yeah, but plasma is heat. In order for something to become plasma, it needs to emit heat, and those planets, from what we've seen with infrared, do not exhibit heat. If you look at Venus with an infrared camera, it doesn't exhibit heat. If you look at Mercury with an infrared camera, it doesn't exhibit heat. I mean, again, I'm not telling you that I have the explanations for everything, but according to the laws of physics, for something to be plasma, it needs to reach a certain super high temperature for that to occur. And from what we've seen, that doesn't happen to Venus or Mercury or Jupiter or Mars.
Are you saying Venus and Jupiter, all those things are at absolute zero? Otherwise, they'd have to be giving off heat.
No, they're not absolute zero, but they're not plasma.
And they're giving off heat.
I mean, they're not giving off the amount of heat that is required for something to be plasma.
Well, you're jumping to this concept of heat, but it's not always related to heat. Like, it has to do with ionization. So it's not necessarily always.
Yeah. In order for something to be ionized, energy needs to be put into that system for those electrons to be ripped off from atom for ionization to occur.
Okay. Well, I mean, I only mentioned plasma. Again, this is in the range because you mentioned that that those things you think need to be physical because you think you can bounce things off of them. And all I mentioned is that plasma also can bounce. And now you're jumping to heat. So if you're going to jump to heat from there, we have to say, okay, well, then we'd have to go up there and measure the heat, and we can't do that. So
you don't need
again,
to
I only mentioned it because you mentioned the physical thing that you think you can bounce things off them. So all I said is that plasma can't do that. So if you're saying, hey, I think those things are physical balls, and I'm saying, well, hey, no, maybe there's a layer of plasma there. Neither of us can prove whether they're physical balls or plasma. But the thing you're claiming that you wanted to reference is how people, claim they can bounce things off them, signals off of them.
I mean, sonoluminescence. Go ahead.
No, I'm done. I'm just saying, I'm just refuting that there's another option of them not being, that they don't have to be the physical and plasma could be involved. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, sonoluminescence gives off heat hotter than the sun. So I don't know how this even applies or whatever. So.
Well, that even supports more that they would be hot then if you're going to go with the sonoluminescence.
Yeah.
If you're going to, as just the speculation level of debating, because neither him or I can go there, but sonoluminescence that can be recreated in a lab gives off heat, and they call it star in a jar because it looks like stars are. So what are you gonna do with that pasta? Put that in your pasta.
Take that.
in your what was I thinking of those, like, what are those, like, pasta makers, the things you make the pasta with? You like squeeze it through and it makes the shape of the pasta. Your pasta grinder. Put that in your pasta grinder and smoke it.
Stick that in your fuzzy pumper barbershop Play-Doh machine.
That was kind of a failed joke on my part, but go ahead. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, apparently if sonoluminescence is involved with heat, then could be connected to that. But again, it's still in the realm of speculation. No response?
I mean, you said they could be plasma, and I said that's not possible because they do not emit heat. And you said they could be ionization, and I'm telling you, ionization does not occur unless there is enough energy to rip electron off atoms. So I'm not sure how you can speculate something.
They do give off heat. Mercury gives off heat, bro. Where are you getting that from?
Yeah, it does give off heat, but it doesn't give enough heat to be plasma. In order to be plasma, you need tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of degrees. It according to the laws of physics and for what we have known and we have discovered, you cannot create plasma unless you have an insane amount of heat, a heat that is so warm that the atoms are being ripped apart.
I mean, there's this thing called cold plasma where you don't need that much heat. I mean, dude, come on.
Yeah, there's something called non-thermal plasma, which is at room temperature. And then
where'd you find that at?
Thermal plasma can be like 10,000 degrees
Celsius. But how do you know that applies to the planets? That's also just speculation. You're telling me, okay, this thing also exists, but how can you prove that happens in this case? Just because it can be created in a lab doesn't mean it occurs in this case either. That is also equal speculation as well.
Okay, before we move on, let's just face the fact that the thing you said about you have to have high heat to make this plasma thing, Geo found an instance where you don't. So can we address that and then move on?
Yeah.
There's just going to be another one of them things where we never address points that were made and come to any realizations and conclusions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the thing is, you were giving us your speculation that you think that those things are physical up there, but you can't prove it. And then I was just coming back with, because you're asking me, like, we originally were talking about retrograde and then what these objects are, and if they're not physical, then how are they changing rate of speed, and then what are they, and then you basically came with, oh well, we can bounce things off of them. And then I just mentioned that you can also bounce things off plasma, and then you mentioned the heat, and you agree now that not all plasma has to be heated?
Hey, you said they can't be, Mercury couldn't be plasma because it does not giving off enough heat. But Geo found a thing where you don't have to have a lot of heat for the plasma. So now what? Can we admit that you were wrong and move on, or we're never going to go past this point? Like,
no, not really, because just because you can find ways to make plasma in room temperature doesn't mean that is the explanation to why planets aren't plasma.
I know, but the thing you said about how this can't be plasma because it's not giving off enough heat. We now know that's not true, right?
Yeah, just that one part.
You were wrong on that one thing, right?
No, I'm not, because you can't prove that cold plasma applies to planets either.
But you're jumping. So now you're doing that.
We're saying the claim you made, how it can't be, Mercury can't be plasma because it's not giving off enough heat. Geo found a scenario where there's plasma at room temperature. We now know that your thing wasn't true because it could be plasma because we can't have plasma without very high heat.
Yeah, because plasma requires the atoms to be separated apart. That's the definition of plasma.
Okay,
that
but
energy needs to come from somewhere.
The reason why Mercury can't be plasma,
that energy is reflected in forms of heat and light, and we don't see that with planets.
Okay,
planets are physical objects because they transition the sun. They block the light of the sun.
Okay, but the reason that Mercury can't be plasma because it's not giving off enough heat is just not true, right? Don't concede again for the third, maybe fourth time. I don't know how many times.
It can't be plasma for a multitude of reasons.
Okay, but the heat one's not true anymore. We just figured that one out, right? That was wrong. You were wrong on that one.
No, it's not, because for it to be plasma, there needs to be enough energy for the atoms to split apart from each other.
Okay,
that energy needs to come from somewhere.
All right, let's go through this slowly. I want to say from before, by the way, nobody in here claimed that Mercury is made of plasma. Okay, nobody claimed that. So I will say you jumped to trying to be like, oh, well, that doesn't mean you're proving it's plasma. No one claimed that. You were saying that they're physical.
I was saying that they're physical objects.
Please don't.
That's what I said originally.
Don't interrupt me. I know. You were saying they were physical objects. And then we were talking about if they're not physical objects, meaning they don't need the same physics for the retrograde thing. So if they're not physical, we were talking about that. And then when you said, oh, well, hey, my thing is you can shoot things off of them, bounce things off of them, I just came back and said, you can also bounce things off plasma. I didn't say Mercury's made of plasma because I don't have any way, I have no physical way to prove that or show that. So why would I ever make that statement? But what I said is that it's a speculation that it could be plasma. And what my point is that plasma does allow for something to bounce off of it. Do you agree with that? Number one. And number two, you then came back and you said, oh, well, plasma has to be heated. And then we talked about how there's actually cold plasma and there's room temperature plasma. So that's kind of where we are. Would you be willing to say, yep, you're right, I was wrong saying that plasma always has to be heated, and then scratch that off the list and then move forward from there? And would you agree that you can bounce, radio signals off of plasma? Because if we could do that, we could at least move forward with like an honest engagement that we're on the same page. Because you said a few things, you're willing to at least rescind that.
I'm willing to agree the fact that stuff does bounce off plasma. But for planets to be plasma, there are a lot of concessions that need to be aligned for that to be even possible. And that's where I went on and I said, if planets are plasma, there are a few things that don't coincide well with that. Like I never denied that. I never denied
the heat one. He won't admit it. Just go ahead.
I never denied that things do not bounce off plasma. I never said it doesn't happen. I said that if we play that part, then there are a few things that are wrong with that theory. For one, like I said, for plasma to even occur, there needs to be enough energy for atoms to be ripped apart. And we haven't seen that. And also that energy needs to come from somewhere. Energy doesn't magically just occur. And there are a multitude of other proofs that shows that planets are physical objects and that there aren't plasma as well on top of that.
I'll never admit, I was wrong. You don't need the extreme amount of heat, or you can bounce things. Let's move on in an honest engagement. Not gonna happen.
Should we give one more chance?
One more chance to say what? That I said they can bounce off plasma, but I said again there are a lot of problems with that theory.
And that plasma could or could not be hot. You would pull back on that. It doesn't, even though sonoluminescence is related to heat, if they are related to that. But you agree that it could be heated or not heated, because that was the last debate point, one of the last ones you were using.
Yeah, but then you guys said it could be cold plasma, and then I said but just because you could create cold plasma doesn't mean that could actually be applied to the planets, because you don't know that. That's what I said.
You agree that when you said it has to be hot, that was false, right?
No, I said it needs to have enough energy to rip the atoms apart.
No, you said it has to be,
and that is usually a result of heat.
Why are you lying?
It needs to be 100% be heat.
Yeah, no,
that's what I said.
You said it has to be giving out heat, and it has to be extreme heat. That is what you.
No, I said there needs to be enough energy to rip the atoms apart, because that's the definition of plasma.
It's a clip, Elbow.
You can't rip atoms apart without energy.
You're changing it now. You originally said heat, that plasma has to be heated, and then you were saying Mercury can't be that hot, et cetera, et cetera. That's what you were saying. Now you're changing it.
No,
dude,
I said
you can let your guard down and just say, you know what? I said it had to be hot. My bad. You're right. It could be hot or not hot, and then we can move on.
I said, if there is plasma, then those atoms need to be ripped apart, and that needs to come from a lot of energy, and that is usually in the terms of heat. That's what I said.
Fuck that. That ain't shit. Go ahead, Gio.
You changed it. Yeah, you changed it.
No, I didn't change it. That's exactly what I said.
Well, I think Elbow's deaf and he's actually going to get it, but we don't have to do this like, dude, the whole thing is we should have a chill enough environment that you can actually just let your if you could, with all due respect, you could maybe let your ego down and be like, you know what, my bad. I did actually say it had to be heated. That was my point. I'll pull back on that, and then move forward. We should have a good environment that you can feel like vulnerable enough that you can allow yourself to, you know what I mean, without being like insulted and all that, rather than having to nail each other down and go get recordings and stuff, because then it just builds more of the ego defense, because then we can prove to you it's not what you said, but do we really need to do that? And what, then you're going to concede if he plays it? You're going to concede that's not what you said? Like, do we have to do that? Why don't you could just be like,
we have to do it. We have to do it.
It's like a court case.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you know how much shit I've said in here that I've been wrong on? Tons of stuff. I probably say one wrong thing a day, at least.
But you've changed it now to ripping things apart, which is not. I mean, it's more about ionization, which has to do with, at least in their model, the gaining and losing of electrons. But we're talking about
and in order for an electron, and in order for an electron to be ripped off an atom, that requires energy. Usually, that is in the terms of heat.
Well, it's not what you said before. You said always it was, and that was why we were.
No, I said you require energy to rip electrons off atoms. That is usually in the terms of heat or photons or whatever, but it needs to be some form of energy that excites the electron enough for it to leave It's orbital. Telling you that I have the explanations for everything, but according to the laws of physics, for something to be plasma, it needs to reach a certain super high temperature for that to occur. And from what we've seen, that doesn't happen to Venus or Mercury or Jupiter or Mars.
Are you saying Venus and Jupiter, all those things are at absolute zero? Otherwise, they'd have to be giving off heat.
No, they're not absolute zero, but they're not plasma.
And they're giving off heat.
I mean, they're not giving off the amount of heat that is required for something to be plasma. I mean, they're not giving off the amount of heat that is required for something to be plasma.
Pasta grinder and smoke it.
The thing
And
you
also,
said about how this, the
planets.
thing you said about how this can't be plasma because it's not giving off enough heat. We now know that's not true, right?
Yeah,
You
just
were
that
wrong.
one part.
You were wrong on that one thing, right?
No, I'm not, because you can't prove that cold plasma applies to planets either.
But you're
we're not-
jumping.
we're not
So now
talking
you're
about
doing a
that. We're
fallacy
saying
thing.
the claim you made how it can't be Mercury can't be plasma because it's not giving off enough heat. Geo found a scenario where there's plasma at room temperature. We now know that your thing wasn't true because it could be plasma because we can't have plasma without very high heat.
That cold plasma applies to planets either.
But you're
we're not- we're
jumping.
not
So now
talking
you're
about
doing a
that. We're
fallacy
saying
thing.
the claim you made how it can't be Mercury can't be plasma because it's not giving off enough heat. Geo found a scenario where there's plasma at room temperature. We now know that your thing wasn't true because it could be plasma because we can't have plasma without very high heat.
Yeah, because plasma requires the atoms to be separated apart. That's the definition of plasma.
Okay, but
That
your
energy
reason
needs
for
to
why
come
that
from
can't,
somewhere.
the reason
And
why
that
Mercury
energy,
can't
and
be
that
plasma
energy is reflected in forms of heat and light. And we don't see that with planets.
okay,
Planets are
your
physical
reason,
objects because they transition the sun. They block the light of the sun.
okay, but the reason that Mercury can't be plasma because it's not giving off enough heat is just not true, right? Don't concede again for the third, maybe fourth time. I don't know how many times.
It can't be plasma for a multitude of reasons.
Okay, but the heat one's not true anymore. We just figured that one out, right? That was wrong. You were wrong on that one.
No, it's not, because for it to be plasma, there needs to be enough energy for the atoms to split apart from each other.
Okay, can we
That
just do
energy
the
needs to
first-
come
hold on,
from
let's just-
somewhere.
All right, let's go through this slowly. I want to say from before, by the way, nobody in here claimed that Mercury is made of plasma. Okay, nobody claimed that. So I will say you jumped to trying to be like, oh, well, that doesn't mean you're proving it's plasma. No one claimed that. You were saying that they're physical.
I was saying that they're physical objects.
Please don't.
That's what I said
Please don't
originally.
interrupt me. I know you were saying they were physical objects, and then we were talking about if they're not physical objects, meaning they don't need the same physics for the retrograde thing. So if they're not physical, we were talking about that. And then when you said, "Oh, well, hey, my thing is you can shoot things off of them, bounce things off of them," I just came back and said you can also bounce things off plasma. I didn't say Mercury's made of plasma because I don't have any way. I have no physical way to prove that or show that. So why would I ever make that statement? But what I said is that it's a speculation that it could be plasma, and what my point is that plasma does allow for something to bounce off of it. Do you agree with that? Number one. And number two, you then came back and you said, oh, well, plasma has to be heated. And then we talked about how there's actually cold plasma and there's room temperature plasma. So that's kind of where we are. Would you be willing to say, yep, you're right, I was wrong saying that plasma always has to be heated, and then scratch that off the list and then move forward from there? And would you agree that you can bounce, radio signals off of plasma? Because if we could do that, we could at least move forward with like an honest engagement that we're on the same page. Because you said a few things, you're willing to at least rescind that.
I'm willing to agree the fact that stuff does bounce off plasma, but for planets to be plasma, there are a lot of concessions that need to be aligned for that to be even possible. And that's where I went on and I said, if planets are plasma, there are a few things that don't coincide well with that. Like I never denied that. I never denied
the heat one. He won't admit it. This is, go ahead.
I never denied that things do not bounce off plasma. I never said it doesn't happen. I said that if we play that part, then there are a few things that are wrong with that theory. For one, like I said, for plasma to even occur, there needs to be enough energy for atoms to be ripped apart. And we haven't seen that. And also that energy needs to come from somewhere. Energy doesn't magically just occur. And there are a multitude of other proofs that shows that planets are physical objects and that there aren't plasma as well on top of that.
I'll never admit, I was wrong. You don't need the extreme amount of heat, or you can bounce things. Let's move on in an honest engagement. Not gonna happen.
Should we give one more chance?
One more chance to say what? That I said they can bounce off plasma, but I said again there are a lot of problems with that theory.
And that plasma could or could not be hot. You would pull back on that. It doesn't, even though sonoluminescence is related to heat if they are related to that. But you agree that it could be heated or not heated, because that was the last debate point, one of the last ones you were using.
Yeah, but then you guys said, yeah, it could be cold plasma, and then I said, yeah, but just because you could create cold plasma doesn't mean that that could actually be applied to the planets, because you don't know that. That's
Okay,
what I said.
You agree that when you said it has to be hot, that was false, right?
No, I said it needs to have enough energy to rip the atoms apart.
No, you said it has to be,
And that is usually a result of heat.
Why are
I
you
never
lying?
said
That
it
is not
needs to
what
be
you
100%
said.
be heat.
Yeah, no,
No, that's what I said.
You said it has
No?
to be giving out heat, and it has to be extreme heat. That is what you.
No, I said there needs to be enough energy
You
to
want me to
rip
go
the
get a
atoms
clip?
apart, because that's the definition of plasma.
Get the clip,
Do
Albo.
you
You
Get the
can't
clip.
rip
to go
atoms
get-
apart
I want you
without
to get the
energy.
clip.
you're changing it now. You originally said heat, that
Get the
plasma
clip.
has to be heated, and then you were saying mercury can't be that hot, et cetera, et cetera. That's what you were saying. Now you're changing it.
No,
Dude,
I
it's
said
okay. You can let
you
your guard down. You can let your guard down and just say, you know what? I said it had to be hot. My bad. You're right. It could be hot or not hot, and then we can move on.
I said if there is plasma, then those atoms need to be ripped apart, and that needs to come from a lot of energy, and that is usually in the terms of heat. That's what I said.
You're
Nah,
changing
fuck
it.
that. That ain't shit. Go ahead, Gio.
You changed it. Yeah, you changed it.
No, I didn't change it. That's exactly what I said.
Well, I think Elbo's deaf and he's actually going to get it. But we don't have to do this like, dude, the whole thing is we should have a chill enough environment that you can actually just let your if you could, with all due respect, you could maybe let your ego down and be like, you know what, my bad. I did actually say it had to be heated. That was my point. I'll pull back on that, and then move forward. Like we should have a good environment that you can feel like vulnerable enough that you can allow yourself to, you know what I mean, without being like insulted and all that, rather than having to nail each other down and go get recordings and stuff, because then it just builds more of the ego defense, because then we can prove to you it's not what you said, but do we really need to do that? And what, then you're going to concede if he plays it? You're going to concede that's not what you said? Like, do we have to do that? Why don't you could just be like,
We have to do it. We have to do it.
It's like a court case.
Yeah. I mean, dude, you know how much shit I've said in here that I've been wrong on? Tons of stuff. I probably say one wrong thing a day, at least.
But you've changed it now to ripping things apart, which is not. I mean, it's more about ionization, which has to do with, at least in their model, the gaining and losing of electrons. But we're talking about
And in order for an electron, and in order for an electron to be ripped off an atom, that requires energy. Usually, that is in the terms of heat.
Well, it's not what you said before. You said always it was, and that was why we were.
No, I said you require energy to rip electrons off atoms. That is usually in the terms of heat or photons or whatever, but it needs to be some form of energy that excites the electron enough for it to leave its orbital. Unless the plasma that you suggest or the ionization that you suggest doesn't follow the laws of physics.
Okay,
Or
you've
the laws
definitely
of
changed it
chemistry.
all, but where do you want to go from here? Basically, you were saying that we can bounce signals off of them. I said you can bounce signals off plasma. You said the plasma has to be heated. Mercury can't be that hot. So where do you want to go from there? Mercury could or could not be hot. Now where do we want to go? Because if you just concede and say, okay, you're right, it doesn't have to be heated. It could be heated, but there would have to be some process making plasma. We know that. If we're saying it's made of plasma, of course there'd have to be a process that's making said plasma. So now where do you want to go? It could be hot, it could not be hot. Neither of us can go up there and touch Mercury, so we're not going to know. Now what?
I mean, you can look it through a microscope and you can see that there's nothing glowing there. I mean, there's also the fact that it blocks part of the sun when it transitions it as well.
All right, so you want to go to that? That when they conjoin,
sure.
Polarization of light.
Join. What do you mean join?
When they conjoin, when they make a conjunction in the sky? That's what you want to
What
move
do you
to?
mean? What do you mean by conjunction?
You concede that if it was plasma up there, that we could bounce things off of them, and then that would be an alternative to the concept that they're physical balls of mass? You concede to that?
That they could be balls of plasma? Yeah, sure. Why not?
Gio, read what I posted. Gio, read what I posted just to debunk the third thing he said.
I got the clip.
Hold on.
Almost got the clip.
Before we do that, let me debunk the third thing he said, and then we'll go to the clip.
Did you cut out?
Your third point. No, his third point about it blocks the light. You can have plasma block light from other plasma. So third point of yours debunked in a row. 3 strikes, you're out.
All right, you concede to that?
There's a clip right there.
Nice, you actually cut it out. Do these clips stay up even after the video is done recording?
No, because since you don't leave the live up, it will not stay up.
Okay.
Because you don't save the recording.
Yeah. We kind of can't to YouTube. But can you download? But this could be downloaded after you make the clip, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do we want to like play this on the stream or like I don't know? Just pot. He has two things. There's two things he's conceding to. It's a double.
It's about to be a triple because there's 3 things that happen in the last 10 minutes. The first one is the bouncing off of the plasma. Okay, you can do that. Second thing, the heat with mercury. There's that. The third thing, light from plasma can block other light from other plasma. Everything you're saying is getting debunked. Say something else.
Yeah, there's tons of photos of amateur astronomers showing that there's the transit of planets in front of the sun.
Yeah, we know plasma can block other plasma. Yes, we just did that. Plasma can block light from another plasma. You could also have some Venn diagram paradox shit going on. Like, there's so much stuff that could be going on, dude.
What do you mean Venn diagram?
The Venn diagram paradox when it makes the light disappear. You get 2 polarized lenses at a certain angle, you can make the light disappear.
And then you put a third one and it reappears.
Yeah, like, bro, you have no idea what's going on in the sky. Just all you have is stuff people told you.
I mean, planetary transitions is a pretty natural thing. You can observe with a telescope.
Yeah, and the reasons for them are your reasons are just things people told you. You know what I'm saying? The reason why you think that's happening.
It's things that I see. I can see with my eyes that they transition the sun. I don't need to be told that we can all see that.
We can all see that.
Yeah.
I already agree. I just agreed. We can all see the stuff that happens, and the reasons for these the explanations for them are just stuff people have told you.
No, I didn't say there was a reason. I didn't say anyone told me a reason for them.
Aren't you trying to argue that Mercury is a ball of matter that's orbiting around Earth and is getting in between us and the sun? Like, isn't that your whole thing?
Yeah, that they're physical. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you are doing that thing.
Yeah, someone told you that. That's what he was saying. That's all he was saying. Somebody.
If they're physical, if they're not physical, what other could they possibly be?
Plasma. Plasma.
Yeah, plasma is physical.
Okay, whatever. There could also be lenses involved. Who knows? It could be tons.
Yeah,
of
but
stuff
it's not.
involved.
But it's not the same as like a physical, like a sphere.
What do you mean lenses involved? That they're like lens artifacts?
No, a lens in the sky. It could be a lens in the sky. We could be seeing all this stuff happen through a lens, or there could be different layers of lenses, and each thing could be like there's tons of stuff that could be happening. You have no idea. Like I said, your explanation for it is somebody told you something.
Wait. Are you saying? Wait. Am I misunderstanding you? But are you telling me that there's lenses in the sky and that the planets are like lens artifact? No, I'm not getting.
I have tons of ideas for what could be going on with the sky. It's besides the point. The point is you don't know what it is. You're just fighting for stuff because somebody told you this is what's happening.
And you saying that there are lenses in the sky is more reasonable? Like I'm not trying to misrepresent.
Oh God.
No, sorry. I'm not trying to misrepresent you. That's why I'm trying to understand what you're saying because I don't want to.
It's another idea of what could be going on in the sky. I don't have to just wholesale take what some guys told me and just run with it and believe that that's what it is. I have multiple ideas of what could be going on in the sky.
Yeah, but then we're turning back into speculation. I mean, do you have
exactly what you have, Pasma?
You have speculation, yeah.
Yeah, we were arguing about speculations of what's possible. That's what we were arguing about. No, it wasn't being. You were the one claiming it is what it is up there. But you're saying it has to be this, and it's the only option. We're giving you other options it could be, and it still works with some of the things that you're talking about. Actually, physically, sending frequencies like radars and things to these objects.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what other explanation. I mean, if you're talking about lenses in the sky, I'm not even familiar with the idea enough to even say if it's right or wrong. You're just saying, yeah, it could be lenses in the sky, and I'm not sure what you mean by that. And I don't want to misrepresent him either, so I don't really understand what he's getting at.
Yeah, I mean, these are ultimately rebuttals to your claim that they have to be these physical balls because of these XYZ reasons. So all your points are being
rebutted. But how can I? Yeah, but how can those rebuttals? How can I know if those rebuttals are accurate or not if I don't even know what they are? All I know is that he said that it could be lenses, and I'm like, yeah, but what does that even mean?
Well, if you see
Like,
here, I'm posting. I actually already had this queued up. I already had this queued to post, and then I did tag you in it. But also called Bell's theorem, but it's the quantum Venn diagram paradox. Anyways, that video is like a 17-minute video, but it shows it. I think Jeremy just maybe had brought that up in terms of like you were talking about when you think that objects are passing in front of other objects, like physical balls out there, and I think he just mentioned that with lenses and polarization. Well, I'm mentioning polarization, but with the Venn diagram paradox, you could have a polarization effect that would be another way that could be functioning rather than physical balls. So it's refuting your point that it's exclusive that it has to be physical balls.
So you're saying that there could be multiple lenses on top of each other, causing a polarization effect, causing this artifact to be visible. Now, like, you would have to prove that there's lenses in the sky. If I'm understanding you properly, like, I understand the phenomenon of polarization using lenses, but I don't understand how that functions with what goes on in the sky. Are you saying that there's floating lenses? I'm not sure. Like, I don't want to misrepresent the idea, but at the same time, I don't understand the idea.
Okay, now you're trying to be totally genuine all of a sudden. That's what you're saying?
No, I'm trying to not misrepresent what you're saying, because I want to give you a fair chance to explain what you're saying. I don't want to make something up and then you tell me, yeah, but that's not what it is at all, because I don't know what you're even saying. I'm telling you, I understand what polarization, if you use multiple lenses, what it is, but I don't understand how that applies to this. Like, are you saying that there's like multiple lenses that are crossing on top of each other in the sky or something?
I'm saying this guy made Eratosthenes work on a flat table by having the lights viewed through a lens.
Yes, and I'm asking you where those lenses are. If I'm understanding you correctly, those lenses have to be above us.
Yeah, the sky itself.
The Eratosthenes thing, Peyton NASA Shell's been bringing up for the last 17 years. That thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. I've never seen anyone present something like that.
Yeah, the sky layer themselves could be functioning as lenses. It wouldn't have to be like a physical, like a pair of eyeglasses up there type of lens. It could just be that the entire medium above has a whole, I mean, whether it has to do with superfluid, plasma, etc. It could be actually made of a material that functions as a lens. I mean, that's why these ancient, texts and things refer to the crystalline structures and so on. So, but
plus, you could have the plasma itself could be acting like a lens. So there's that. You know what I'm saying? There's just tons of stuff. Like, you could validate this as much as we could validate your balls.
Yeah, and this was all a rebuttal to that it's exclusive. This was all a rebuttal to that it's exclusive, that it has to be balls, and we're deballing.
Yeah, no, but I cannot refute a theory of that which I'm not even familiar with.
Okay, but the thing is that you would have to try to rebut the fact that you're saying it's exclusive, that these phenomenon of the sky have to be physical spheres out there, and so that's the thing. Like, it's just that's what's being rebutted, is that your claim is exclusive. So I guess
you're trying to debunk us. We're debunking you, dude. It's like
no, I'm not even trying to debunk you, because I don't even understand what you're presenting. I mean, I understand that you're saying,
we keep
lenses can.
Yeah, we're debunking the concept that it's exclusive, that the phenomenon you've referred are exclusive to the explanation of them being actual physical spheres all orbiting out there, which Jeremy had said was something that you had been told, and I mean, you would have to agree it is. We were all told that. And so you would then have to say, okay, well, there is some exclusive reason that they're balls, or I guess you would have to concede and say, okay, you guys are right. All of these other things would potentially explain it, because no one's claiming that it is plasma. We're saying it could be, and the fact that we can replicate it on the Earth, all these components of plasma, means that it would be valid in terms of relating to physics. That it is possible.
Yeah, but I can. Yeah, but I cannot. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I cannot dispute your polarized lens method either, because I don't even know what that theory even is. I mean,
but nobody's claiming
you're telling me
polarized lenses. That's what you're jumping to, trying to claim that okay, you claimed an exclusivity.
I'm not trying to claim anything. I'm telling you, I don't want to misrepresent you guys.
Good. Well, just don't interrupt. We'll go back and forth. I'll give you all the time you need. Let me just say, okay, just to rehash it again. You were saying that there's these observations we have that you think were exclusive to them being physical spheres out there. We were then giving potential. It is speculation, but speculation potentials of what it could be. The thing is, though, those speculations do have something rooted in them. The fact that we can replicate it on Earth, like the plasma can block light, the plasma, can bounce radio waves, like that can be proven. So the fact that we're, but that it refutes your claim of the exclusivity that it has to be, actual spheres. So no one's claiming it is plasma, and therefore we need to prove it to you, and you need to concede to that. That's not even the argument. No one's saying that you need to concede that it is plasma. We're saying the point is that it just refutes your claim that it's exclusive to being spheres out in space. So if you just conceded that, you can say, okay, yep, all the things you guys have said would potentially explain it, but no one's claiming it is
Ain't gonna
that. You keep
happen.
jumping saying it is that, and then trying to get us to defend that it is that, which is not what we were doing.
No, but I'm not asking you to defend that. I'm asking, like, I'm trying to understand this idea that you're putting out with lenses and how that works, because I cannot refute that if I don't even understand the theory that you're even presenting.
Plasma can act as a lens. Lenses, you can have the Venn diagram. We're saying all shit that's real. You can't debunk anything we're saying. It debunks all of your reasons why it can only be balls. So
Yeah, but I cannot refute plasma not being lenses if I don't understand how you are making the assumption that plasma are lenses as well, and polarizing lenses on top of that, and multiple on top of each other either. Like, I don't understand how that even works. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't even know what idea you're trying to present.
I don't know, maybe up yourself on your plasma knowledge, and maybe a few quick Google searches on how plasma can act like a polarizing lens and stuff, and you get your physics knowledge up on this plasma thing, and then you'll realize that the things you're saying are just not true about your exclusivity, about how it has to be balls, because we're giving you real world shit. You can't debunk anything we're saying because everything we're saying is true. You can do it here on Earth. You're getting debunked because we're giving you reasons of how it could be without being the balls of physical matter.
Yeah, but I cannot debunk your ideas if I don't even understand them. If you aren't even being clear on what those theories are.
That's just your lack of the subject matter we're talking about. That's the only problem with that.
No, it's not a lack. It's just that I've never ever heard the theory. I know what polarizing lenses are, and I do understand that if you have multiple polarizing lenses of each other, then yeah, you're going to block light, and I do understand that. But I don't understand how that applies to the sky. I'm not trying to tell you that your theory is right or wrong. I'm just telling you, yeah, I know how this works, but I don't understand how you guys are applying that to the sky.
I'm not arguing for if my theory is right or wrong. You're still trying to debunk us when we're in the middle of debunking you. Like,
no, I'm not trying to debunk you.
Us. Don't worry about trying to debunk us. We're debunking your claim that this has to be balls and there's exclusivity to physical balls in the sky.
Yeah, but there's more reasons why they could be physical balls in the sky other than the plasma thing.
Go ahead. We've debunked everything you've said so far, so keep going, and we'll keep debunking you.
Yeah, but you're debunking me. I'm asking you how that applies to the sky. You're telling me, yeah, you're wrong because lenses. And I'm like, okay, but what lenses?
Let me try to see if this clarifies it. Okay, neither Jeremy or I made the claim that the sky is made of lens plasma. Okay, we didn't make that claim. If we did, that would then make sense. We would have to, if it's a debate style, back up that claim, have evidence, et cetera, et cetera. Neither of us made that claim. However, you made a claim where you said they're physical. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're essentially saying they are physical spheres because we're talking about retrograde originally and all that stuff. And then now it's to this. So you essentially were saying, no, it has to be the physical spheres out in space and so on. And you were giving your reasons as to why it did. And you were trying to claim that it was exclusive evidence, and this is why it's true, right? You were the one making that claim. We were rebutting that by saying, well, actually, there are other explanations for all those phenomenon, all of them that we went through. And the other explanation we were giving was not just made up like, oh, it's just pixie dust. No, we were saying actual things that can be replicated on Earth, solar luminescence, plasma, et cetera, things that can be replicated on Earth. So now at the end of this, you're kind of thinking that we're trying to prove to you that it's plasma, and you keep now trying to jump into being like, oh, prove to me it's plasma. But neither of us made that claim. We're just refuting that there are these other explanations as to what it could be that are actually backed by real physics.
You won't address any of that.
I am not saying that plasma is not real physics. I'm not saying that polar lenses is not real physics. I'm agreeing to that. Absolutely.
And it could explain I don't understand. It could be what it is. Right. So then your point that it's exclusive, that it has to be physical spheres, has been refuted, correct?
No, because I'm asking you, how does that apply to the sky? How does plasma
then you would have to continue.
Sky? Because
but neither of us made the claim that is what the sky is. So if we want to continue in the combo, then you would have to then come up with your next exclusive evidence, because all of yours so far have been refuted. If you still want to claim you have exclusive evidence that they're spheres, now you would have to move forward from that, because all the others have been refuted. Or you'd have to go back and refute us on any of those past ones. Otherwise, that's where we'd be at. That's the status. You have to now continue why it's exclusive, because we've rebutted all those points. Neither of us made the claim that it is plasma, so we don't have to support that. We just said it could be, which explains the phenomenon.
Theories cannot, but your theories cannot replace what I said if you cannot tell me how those applies to the sky. That's the thing. You can tell me, yeah, plasma exists, but I'm telling you, okay, how does that apply to this? And you tell me, okay, lenses exist and polarized light exists, and I'm asking you, well, how does that apply to the sky?
Okay, well, so I guess the equivalent, if you had a rock in your hand and I said, how does that apply to the sky? And you could say, oh, well, those things up there are rocks. If you want to make that analogy, then we're saying if we were in a lab right now and we had sonoluminescence and cold plasma and hot plasma and polarization lenses made of plasma, and we had all of that in our lab, and you had a rock and you had a rock and gas, and you're saying, hey, I think these things are this rock and this gas, and they're up there and they're huge and they're way out in space. And we could say in this hypothetical that, okay, this plasma, this lens, this polarization, this is what it could be. That would be the equivalent. So you don't have anything exclusive that it is yours to back up your original claim that that it is, these physical spheres.
I mean, there's a multitude of reasons why it is believed that they are physical things, but again, you're basically throwing out theories that apply to things we can do here, and I agree with that. I'm not saying that you're wrong in that assessment, but you would have to still connect those things to what we see in the sky, and that's what I feel. That's what I feel that you're not doing. Like, yeah,
neither of us
exists.
claim
Yeah,
that they are made of. Yeah, but neither of us claim that. So now you're asking somebody to defend.
But then your theories. But your theories don't serve much. They're kind of useless.
Your theory is fucking useless.
It wasn't presented as a theory. It was presented as a rebuttal to your theory that it's exclusive, that it is physical spheres. That's what it was. Nobody was putting together an entire claim about, hey, I think the sky is made of this, this, and that. We're just talking about things on Earth physically that we know are real physics that could be in this realm or above us that replicate all the phenomenon that you brought up, like bouncing radio waves, light being blocked or not visible, and the retrograde motion. Which is what this all started from.
The retrograde motion is still not explained because we never agreed on that one either. You said that you're comfortable with them accelerating, deaccelerating, and I'm telling you, yeah, according to a lot of physics, that doesn't really work unless there is a significant change in either the magnetism or the electricity.
Okay, but that's not an issue at all to have an electrical field be changing the speed of it. Even if you want to go off that, it's not an issue at all. If it's a holographic light plasma sonoluminescent object and it's in
then you would have to prove that the holographic plasma thing actually exists and that it applies.
Because if you want to go,
you're just saying, yeah, it could be. It doesn't really say much.
He won't stop.
Yeah, you just keep doing it. Because you could actually even replicate. You could replicate this on Earth easily with a fluid, even if you were just a fluid with bubbles, and you could have a light above it, so the bubbles would be reflecting light or whatever. And you can just change the electrostatic charge of the fluid, and it's going to move. So that's easy to replicate if that's where you're going with it. See, again, I'm not claiming this is what it is, so I don't have to back that up. You keep trying to get me to do that, or us to do that. We're refuting, again, your exclusivity that it is the globe. And so now with the retrograde, because if you're saying, okay, they have to be physical balls, they have to all be orbiting around, and that's what explains retrograde. And if I'm saying not necessarily, it's not exclusive to that because they could be plasma, all these other things. Well, to now get to the movement part of it, we can refute that to say that in terms of the exclusivity. Because if you have all of these things that are being mentioned, the very slight rate of change of speed that they're making is so tiny. It's such a very minuscule amount to where, Pluto, for example, when it goes retrograde, it is so slowly changing speed. It's extremely slow, which is why it's a 237-year cycle. But other ones are faster in terms of their change of speed. Like Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year for 3 weeks each time. So it's retrograde for 9 weeks out of the year. And then there's a few weeks on either side of that where it's actually changing speed. So it's really more like 25 weeks or something. So it's almost like half the year, really. Mercury is actually in some kind of a change of rate of speed for about half the year. The other ones are actually about a half a year too, like Pluto. They go retrograde for a lot longer. They're actually just always in some level of change of speed, actually. Pluto and stuff, they just always are. Mercury actually will go in its direct motion. But with Pluto, there is a direct motion part of it, but the difference is Mercury goes retrograde for 3 weeks, 3 times a year. So 3 times a year, it's spaced out for 3 weeks, it goes retrograde. But Pluto will be retrograde for half the year. But how long they're retrograde and then how often they're changing speed are 2 different things. And how often they're changing speed is more than retrograde because before they're in retrograde, they have to speed up. They have to go through the whole speed up process and then get to where they're actually going faster than the fixed stars. Then they're in retrograde. But up to that point, it's still changing speed. So anyways, there's a lot more time that they're changing speed. So they're doing it almost all the time. But yeah, you can replicate easily electrostatic charges changing the rate of speed of things. So that's very easy to prove. So why would that be an issue?
Because where would that electricity come from? Where would that change come from? Because you would have to generate a chain of electricity or magnetism.
Yeah, so we know that there's a
according to Coulomb's law. Hello?
Yeah, so we know that this whole realm is electrostatically charged. I mean, we have lightning, we have rain, we have clouds, the entire sky. It's like 100 volts per meter that you can actually measure above the Earth's surface. So every meter you go up, you're getting a higher voltage, and that's why that's why lightning is so powerful, obviously. And I mean, you get into like the Tesla's work in this field, in this realm as well, and just the entire electromagnetic gradient, electrostatic gradient that goes up from the Earth. So there would be no reason not to think that there's electrostatics up at high altitudes. Everything seems to indicate there is. So if there's already tremendous charge, where is that coming from? At that point, we may have to go to some higher level of creation as to how this whole realm is existing. Because I mean, what's making the electric field of our heart? You know, I mean, it's what's really the cause of the electrostatics. I mean, if you're going to get to that, we have to go probably beyond just the physical, but it exists. I mean, you can see lightning every day, or at some part of the world every day. So that refutes that. The source of it, I mean, I'm not claiming there's a generator up there, like some kind of diesel generator burning fuel to try to create electrostatics or something. Of course not. Seems to just be natural in this realm, though. It just exists. Like lightning just exists on its own. Nobody has to charge up lightning with a electrical wire or any source. It's its own source. So do you agree that's refuted as well?
Hold on. I'm a little busy. I'll be right back.
Never. Never.
I mean, in a way, we were like potentially putting together an entire model, though. So I do understand why he was like, "Well, then tell me how it works." Like, I get that, but I was just trying to stick exactly to like what was actually being said, because
Yeah.
he was trying to get us to defend that it is plasma. And it's like, to do that, you'd have to have like actual physical proof that it is. But there are these phenomena that we can observe from the ground, so that's where it links together. It's just basically like the sky is part of this realm to where we can see it, so it makes sense that it's like somehow in this place we're in. And obviously they try to say, oh well, yeah, we're on a ball, and those things are physical balls out there. But it would make sense that somebody would be like, okay, if it's not that what we're told, then what else could explain it? But the thing is, like, everything we just went through at least explains it with real physics that we have on Earth. Actually, theirs doesn't have real physics because they can't show balls orbiting other balls. So theirs actually is unfalsifiable. But what we were presenting, or what we were rebutting him with, actually is falsifiable, and you could verify that plasma does all of those things. So it actually has it's actually a better explanation because it doesn't involve the assumptions, and it doesn't involve any pseudophysics. Theirs involves pseudophysics to have spheres that, like gas, that all coalesces into a ball and all that. I mean, they try to say, mass attracts mass because Cavendish balls wiggle a little, but that really doesn't work for a lot of reasons. Just because the Cavendish balls have a little bit of a movement doesn't mean that all matter attracts the center spheres within some huge universe. But that's kind of where they take people's mind on a journey, make the leap there. Because that's what they need to try to say that the orbits work for their explanation of the sky. Yeah, I mean, arguably what we just went through would actually be, it wouldn't have any assumptions, and it wouldn't have any physics that can't be proven as an explanation for what's above us. If you involve all those, if all those things we mentioned could actually be proven. Whereas the only way for them to claim that balls orbit other balls is to say, well, they just have to be really, really big, and it's way out there.